A friend said that she noticed that on Zoom, her shoulders were really off. And she said, how can I incorporate different ways in my yoga practice to ensure that I look very aligned? The natural response might be to just lift your shoulders, take the heads of the arm bones back, instructions that you hear constantly in yoga. But as we talked, I realized that it's more about how the side length, the right side and the left side ribs, really need to be expanded. So we'll be focusing on that. Hold on to your left wrist, spread the fingers of your hand, and just draw over. So we just bring our attention now to the side body, from the pelvis all the way to the armpit. Have a slight bend in both elbows. Draw your gaze up. And one of the things I've noticed is, our gaze is usually cast down, maybe as a safety measure, especially when we're walking. But when you're just standing still in the room, if you look at the intersection of the wall and the ceiling, if you just take your gaze up just slightly, that has a way of taking the heads of the arm bones back. Inhale, rise up, and come to the opposite side. Hold on to that wrist, spread the fingers, draw over, and just notice the difference side to side here. With the elbows bent, with the heads of the arm bones drawing back, just open the chest really nicely, the sides of the body. Just lengthen to one side and then to the other. Just feel how the breath just creates a little bit more spaciousness between the ribs. And inhale, rise up, catch hold of the opposite wrist, reach your left foot to the side. You can just stay on tiptoes there with the left toes on the floor, or you might even just play with balance. But it's your choice. We're just starting the practice, and sometimes balance throws your breath off. So see if you can just allow a little stretch with the foot in a different placement or away from the mat. And come back to the center. Same thing, opposite side. Reach over, spread your fingers, step your right foot to the side, come to tiptoes or balance there. And breathe in. And the inhale has you rooting down. Breathe out. The exhale has you getting this great length. Come back to center. Release your hands. We'll lie down just for a few moments to do the same pose essentially that we did. We'll be lying down and going into the C shape. So take your arms over your head, just like we did. And just pause here before straightening your legs. Reach your arms over to the right side of the mat. So you're holding on to the left wrist as you draw your hands over. With your knees still bent, allow your breath to just expand the side body. The inhale has you root down. The exhale gives you this length from the pelvis to the fingertips, out to the crown of your head. Now, straighten your legs and take your feet in the same direction that your hands are in. Again, so that you're just really doming the side body. Just by lying on the mat, you get different instructions, to yourself, like different alignment patterns that you can kind of check into. So breathe in and expand through the side body. Have the body so bright on one side. And come back to the center position and switch sides. So take your hands over to the opposite side and hold on to the wrists. Reach your feet to the side. Reach your feet and your hands over to the same side and expand through the side body. Come back to center. Reach to the opposite side. Breathe in deep and breathe out long as you expand. And come back to the center position. Bend your knees, roll over to the side, and lift yourself up to come to a seated pose. Cross your legs so that your shin bones are touching right in the middle of the shin bone. You're pressing the outside of your feet. And as you twist, turn your heart toward the side. So with the legs crossed, with your right hand behind you, your left hand at your knee. Just open your chest really nicely and come back to center. And of course, the length of the side body really affects our twist. Just check that out for yourself as you twist to the opposite side with the left hand behind you. Open your chest, lift your chin just slightly so that you get a nice curve in the neck there. And come back to center. Come to all fours position now. In all fours position, reach your right leg back and have your right toes tucked under. Press down through the right foot. Now line up the right arch of the foot with your left knee and open the chest. Lift your arm up, reach over, and once again, just get that length. So the inhale roots you down. The exhale helps you expand even more fully. Release your hand down. Come to all fours position. Extend your left leg back with your toes pressing down so that you get the calf muscle stretch and the Achilles tendon stretch. Root down by paralleling your foot to the back edge of the mat. Take your hand to the waist, open your chest by taking the head of the arm bone back. Reach your arm up, spread your fingers, reach over. Same thing. Get this nice doming quality of the side body as you reach over. Release your hand down to the mat. From all fours position, step your hands a giant step forward. Come either to child's pose or downward facing dog. As you lift yourself up in downward dog, or just stay in child's pose, to bring your attention to the sides of the ribs here. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Breathe in deep. You root down. Breathe out long, and you just find this great expansion from the heart to the head to the fingertips. Nice lengthening there. Walk your feet up to your hands. Place your hands to your low back and lift yourself up. And just close your eyes for a moment. Breathe in deep. And the in breath has you rooted down. Breathe out long. The out breath is kind of like this fleeting, creative, dancer like quality. So if you find yourself more focused on the out breath, then maybe you're gifted in those areas. And the in breath, that it's that committed, that rooted, that in breath just has you so strong, so strident. Whereas the out breath just has you like very creative and flowy. Let's come to a nice wide stance and see if we can kind of combine both of those qualities. So, in your wide stance, you want the in breath to really root you down from the pelvis to the feet. Turn your right toes out, bend your right knee, take your elbow to the top of the thigh, and just as if your left fingers are like feather dusters here on the floor, just let the arm hang down. And just like you're trying to dust the floor with your fingertips, just feel how the length of the spine gets influenced there. And this position of the pose allows you to take the top of the left thigh way back. Your pelvis is moving back now, feather dusting the floor, and now sweep your feather duster over your head to get this nice length here. Keep your right hand very active. That's settling on the top of the thigh. And same thing, just kind of dust the floor. Just swing your arm and same thing. You just get the shoulder open. And again, take it over your head. Get this nice length. Take your gaze up even. And last time, allow your heart to soften down as you swing your arm. You stay steady in the back leg. Inhale, sweep your arm over your head and see how much length you can get from the pelvis to the armpit. Root down to inhale and rise up. Let's stand with feet parallel for a moment. Interlace your fingers behind your back. And after doing that work on one side, just kind of notice how long that side feels. So with your fingers interlaced behind your back and your elbows bent, hug your elbows in and just draw down, forward and down slightly, not too deep. Take the interlaced fingers slightly off your back and allow your heart to soften down as you pull your feet inward toward each other. Now let's pulse with the breath. The in breath as you root down, even though the upper chest kind of fills up and you feel like a bobbing quality. You lift up slightly on the in breath to go deeper on the out breath. One more time. In breath as you lift up slightly while staying rooted fully down. You can allow your out breath to help you lengthen from the pelvis to the crown of the head. With your palms at your low back, hug your elbows in and lift yourself up. Step to Tadasana just for a moment. As we lengthened one side, it might feel like one shoulder lifts a little higher than the other. Just come to balance yourself out. Even though a mirror is not in front of you, just imagine that you are aligning yourself just perfectly in front of that mirror. Have the heads of the arm bones draw back. Take your gaze up right where the wall and the ceiling meet. And as you lift your gaze up just slightly, notice how that affects the heads of the arm bones. They draw back, and the tops of the thighs often draw back. You really put yourself into alignment when you shift your gaze just slightly. Step wide again on your mat. Turn your left toes out. Bend your left knee. Take your forearm down to the top of the thigh. And same thing. Have your right arm just dangle down toward the floor. And just let it swing just slightly so that you just kind of lubricate the shoulder joint nicely. Have your left hand very active now, palm facing up. And on the next in breath, just reach your arm over your head and get this nice length. And exhale, same thing. Just draw down as you let the hand just kind of release toward the earth. Top of the thigh floats back. Back leg stays strong. Inhale, Sweep your arm over your head and maybe take your gaze up too. And last time, just release the hand toward the earth and just let it dust the floor. And inhale, swing your arm up over your head. Keep your back leg strong. Inhale, root down to rise up. Exhale, release your hands. Step to Tadasana one more time. And come to that side stretch. Now that we've done a few poses to lengthen through the side, see how, as you take your arms over your head and reach one foot to the side, maybe you've got just a little bit better sense of balance on that standing right leg. Just see for yourself if that works for you to either keep the tiptoes on the floor, lift up, and see if you can pay attention to the in breath. The in breath roots you down. The out breath gives you this freedom, this fullness in the pose. And slowly release down. Come to the opposite side. So take hold of your wrist, reach your toes to the side. In breath as you root down so firmly. See if it feels so firm that you have the freedom to lift up the right foot. It's your own pose, Swadharma. Just see how you can just control the breath in such a way that rooting quality of the inhale just gives you more freedom to lift up the right foot. And slowly release your hands. Come to all fours position again. And in all fours position, lower yourself all the way to the mat. Lower your chest to the mat. I like keeping my pelvis lifted as long as possible so the heads of the arm bones draw back. And inhale, come to a baby cobra here. Exhale, soften down. Inhale, rise up. Exhale and soften. The in breath as you root down. So root the pelvis down as you get fullness in the upper body. Exhale, soften. Reach your hands straight back with your fingers spread, with your hands reaching back with your toe tips pressing onto the earth, your toenails pressing to the earth. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, soften. Two more. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, soften. One more. Inhale. Your back muscles get really strong as you lift high. Exhale, soften. Now, this next one is not for everybody, but as we take an in breath, we'll go from the hands back to the hands to the side. And only if you know that your back muscles will not um, be impinged on this, take your arms forwards. So we'll be lifting both our feet and our arms on this version of Shalambhasana to really um, explore more the length of the side ribs. So on the in breath, with your hands to your sides, with your palms facing each other on your belly, inhale, lift your feet up, lift your hands back. Exhale, soften down. Inhale, take your arms like wings to the side. Inhale, lift your feet up, lift your hands up. Exhale, soften. Now, yogi's choice here. Hands can be wherever they wish, either back or to the sides, or even to the front. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, soften. Come back through all fours position to either child's pose or downward facing dog. So pause in whatever pose allows you to once again come to a nice ease in the flow of the breath, a nice softness in the facial muscles. You breathe in deep. You breathe out long. Take 3 more breaths in whatever pose it was that you decided to come to. And now slowly, let's all meet in a seated pose. Find a way to sit, and many of us sitting on a blocks or a blanket or something just allows us to get a little bit better alignment of our pelvis to our knees. Cross your shin bones right at the midpoint of the shin and press the outside of the feet very firmly to get tall. Now, probably you, like me, just went to your easiest cross legged pose. See if you can come to that, which is not quite as natural to you. And as you breathe in, again, the in breath has you rooted down. The out breath gives you this length. And of course, on twist, the breath is especially important, and the movement into a deeper twist is always on the exhale breath. So let's just rock side to side and pull the flesh away from your sit bones. And as you do that, as you lean to one side and pull the flesh away from the sit bones, it allows the pelvic area, the pelvic foundation, to open a little bit more. So see if you can do that to get that feeling of even a wider base as you press the outside edges of the feet. Take your left hand to the outside of the right leg, the right hand behind you, and just do a very simple twist here. Start to take our attention to this twist. See about lifting your gaze up slightly. Your gaze is lifted toward where the wall meets the ceiling. And just by doing that simple shift in the gaze, notice how the shoulders are affected. So you press the left hand into the thigh. And now on the exhale breath, you take yourself a little bit deeper into the twist. So this work that we've done on lengthening the side body, it most benefits both the balance and the twist action. See, as we go into the second twist, if now you can take your gaze from that intersection of the wall to the ceiling to look over your shoulder. And now come out of the twist and just pause. And hopefully, you notice that one side, after hanging out in the twist for a while, one side is a little bit longer than the other. Let's come to the opposite side. Take your right hand to the outside of the leg, the left hand behind you. Breathe in deep and just to open your chest nicely to draw your attention to the opposite side. And same thing, just lift your gaze slightly. We're not turning the head yet. We're just allowing our ribs to move into the twist first. The in breath is down. This downward action has you park your right sit bone very firmly. The out breath allows your right ribs to come into harmony with the left a little bit more. So before you know it, you are turning your entire chest to the side. Now keep the head of the left arm drawing back and shift your gaze from the intersection of the wall and the ceiling to over your left shoulder. Just come deeper into the twisting action. But see, if you slowly go into these twists, you'll see that you can go a little bit deeper just by attuning to the breath. Release out of the pose. Come to lie on your back, and we'll be doing that same sort of C shape that we did earlier with your arms over your head, your feet in the same direction as your hands. And just notice after doing just a few of these stretches here, you start to notice, oh, as you pause with your arms over your head, with your feet and your hands drawing to one side, just pause in that pose for quite some time. This is a great thing to do, actually, before you get yourself out of bed, just to lengthen through the side body to find this way to brighten the inner body, to come to your breath to allow you to expand the inner body. Stay here for 5 more breaths. It's quite a while to just allow yourself to stay in the alignment of the supine pose. But bring your attention to the side body. Maybe you can move your feet and your hands just a little bit deeper now that we've been focusing so much on this length. And you start to notice different areas that maybe you hadn't gotten into before. Two more breaths here in this pose. One more. And slowly come back to center. Now, before going to the opposite side, just pause here. Take your breath to just notice the length that you feel in one side compared to the other. This so affects your respiratory system just by giving your lungs the spaciousness. It just allows for so much ease in your breath. You probably feel like you can expand through one lung more than the other. So let's balance that out by taking your feet to the opposite side of the mat, taking your arms over your head, and grab hold of your wrist as you draw your hands over your head. This seems like such a passive pose, but if you're really engaging your feet and your hands and drawing from your fingertips toward your heart, the heart toward the pelvis, it becomes very active, very engaged posture. So just spend some time to expand into the side body as if your feet are trying to balance you, like we were doing the balance posture on the floor. Keep your feet very active. Allow the breath just to help you imagine that you are balancing on your feet. That rooting quality of the in breath is so strong. You start to tune in to some of the abdominal muscles here as the side ribs continue to expand. We'll take 5 more breaths here in this pose. Make the breath really full and bright. That quality of inner body brightness just allows for this softness in the outer body. Two more cycles of the breath here. Slowly make your way back and bend your knees. With your left foot planted, bring your right knee up toward your chest. Now extend your left leg straight. Take your left hand to the outside of the right knee and just twist over toward the left side. Keep your right shoulder planted. You can extend your arm out as you just open up. So now we have this opportunity to just see how accessible these twists feel. So your extended left leg is not in this passive form. Your toes are active. You're still drawing in from the foot all the way to the pelvis as you come to the twist. Your choice if you'd like to extend the legs straight, the bent leg straight, feel free to do that, or just keep it bent. And inhale, come back to center. With both knees bent, with both feet on the floor, draw your left knee up toward your heart. Just pause there, see if you can come a little bit deeper. Now straighten your right leg. Again, the right leg, some people in this actually like to have the right foot slightly lifted off the floor just as a reminder to keep the leg active. Your choice, though. Let's come to the twist again. Reach your left arm out to the side with the palm facing up and twist over to the right side. And pause here. All the time that we've spent just focusing on this part of our body from the pelvic point all the way to the armpit. We've probably discovered different areas that have opened up just a little bit. We haven't done much hamstring work, but if you'd like to extend your legs straight, feel free to do that. But just find out for yourself what works to keep your attention to the expansion of the side body, our focus today. Come back to the center position. Bend both knees and plant your feet. With your feet planted, knees bent, bend your arms so that your elbows are pressing down, your palms face each other. Inhale and lift your pelvis up. We'll be up here for a few breaths here. If you'd like to slide a block underneath your pelvis, feel free to. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. With the heads of the arm bones drawing back, the shoulder blades press nicely. Your head can press back to bring in more strength to the neck muscles. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Take 5 more breaths here in this pose. Two more. And one more. And slowly take your pelvis down to the mat. You can just give yourself a little massage here, rock side to side or forward and back. Before lengthening by reaching your right leg and your left leg nice and flat and straight on the floor. The supine pose, we've been lying down a few times here to get the feeling of this alignment that just lying on the floor gives you. But by moving our feet to one side or the other, the arms, we brought our attention to the sides of the body. So now, with everything in alignment, your feet and your hands, same distance from the midline, bring your attention back to the breath. The in-breath as you root down. That rooting down quality makes you feel solid, makes you feel so stable. The out breath allows you to feel this freedom. You're just letting go. This feeling of letting go, this feeling of ease. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Breathe in deep and breathe out long. Bend your knees to plant your feet. On your next in breath, sweep your arms up over your head and just notice the feeling of length from the pelvis all the way to the armpits. Let your breath expand into that area to brighten the inner body, to soften the outer body. Draw over to one side and pause there. From here, lift yourself up to come to a seated pose. Sit tall in your seated pose. Place your hands right in front of your heart. Let's give gratitude to the teachings that yoga brings to us. With gratitude to these teachings, we bow. Namaste. Thank you so much.